Hi, welcome to Chad's Silversmithing. Before we get too far into the video, if you would mind hitting the like button, that really helps out a great deal. I also love it if you leave a comment. So if you follow my channel, you know that I broke my old rolling mill a while back, and Pepetools came through for me and provided me with this really nice 130 millimeter combination rolling mill, which means it's a big rolling mill, and it's got the flat area for rolling out textures and things like that, as well as the slots for reducing wire, for making your own wire. And it's even got some half-round wire slots on it, so that's kind of nice. I thought it would be fun for this Thursday's video to do some different textures on it that I've not tried before. So let's play with it and see what we can come up with, and I'll see if I can make a few pieces out of it. So before we get started, I wanted to thank some groups of people. My patrons over on Patreon are my core group of supporters, and I really appreciate not only their contributions financially, but also the nice community that they formed over there. And we have a new patron, Jan R. Thank you for signing up. I really appreciate your support. The other group is my YouTube subscribers. We just passed we're almost to 11,300. Probably by the time I release this video, it'll be 11,300. So that's amazing, and I don't know how to thank you all for signing up. I do love to read the comments, and I try to answer them all, and some of them are really moving, so thank you for that. I also appreciate the nice contributions like the Buy Me a Coffee and the Super Thanks. That really helps with the rising cost of materials right now. So, all right, well, let's play with this new rolling mill and have some fun. So this is one of my design idea books, which I sketch up my designs in anymore. I find it helps me to get a better result if I have some plans in advance. And I didn't have to really draw too much here. You can see my crude rendering of a coin here. These are available on my merch store if you're interested. So I came up with some ideas for some textures. I've seen a few of these in other places and been told about them. The first one, for instance, is crumpled up tinfoil between some pieces of metal, and that produces kind of a texture that looks a little bit like leather. According to some people, I've not tried that before, so it'll be kind of a fun experiment. I found this little ball chain that's like the kind of a pull chain from a light bulb, and I thought I'd wrap it up, and I stuck it down here with some rubber cement to hold it in place, and we'll try that and see if that comes out looking cool or not. I picked out a few interesting coins from my old foreign coins. This is a Denmark coin. It's got kind of a cool pattern in the middle. I think that would make for an interesting, I don't know, maybe some little disc earrings that have that pattern on them. Canadian dollar here has a duck or a loon, I'm not sure which. Oh, it's probably a loon because they call them loonies. So you can see how that one comes out if we want. I have this old Mexican, what is it, 20 pesos? No, 20 centavos from 1965, and it's got that cool famous symbol of the eagle with the snake in his mouth. And I got this little, I think it's a West German coin from before the wall came down, and it's got a leaf on it. I'm not sure what kind of leaf that is, but it's kind of a pretty leaf, so we'll do that. I did a little test run on one of those just to see where that one went. So you can see I didn't get a very good impression all the way through, but I'm going to try and do better on the next one here when we try it. So we'll do that. I bought a while back I do a little bit of woodworking sometimes too, and I bought these brushes off of Amazon for applying glue, but they're terrible quality. The bristles fall out and get stuck in the glue. So I'm going to cut some of these up and maybe use some rubber cement and glue them down to a piece of sheet, and we'll run it through and see if that comes up with kind of a cool pattern. I have a feeling it'll be kind of nice. And then this is an old watch band from a previous incarnation of an Apple Watch, I think, that my wife contributed. So it's got a nice kind of corrugated pattern on it. We'll try that and see how that works out too. So let's go over and take a look at the rolling mill and actually let's talk about using it first with different things. Typically when you're doing textures in the rolling mill, in order to protect the wheels of the rolling mill, I put you can see here I wrote the tin foil's in the middle here on this one. I've got the piece of silver that I want the texture to be on over here, and then I use a piece of brass or copper as a sacrificial kind of chunk of metal to kind of protect the wheel from anything that might be in between those things. So you're making a little sandwich basically, and a lot of times I'll use a little bit of masking tape to hold it together and keep it in place. And I'll do the same thing with these other things too, so that it's always got protective coating for the wheel. I'd hate to damage my brand new beautiful rolling mill. Alright, so let's go over there and take a look at it. Alright, so if you've never used a rolling mill before, these are the working surfaces. You got the nice smooth flat surface here. This is some grooves that will allow you to do some half round shapes. And these ones here are gradually reducing wire slots. So you start out here and you work your way down to gradually reduce wire into smaller sizes, and eventually probably pull it through a draw plate to finalize your sizes and shapes. So that's that part of it. It's got the adjustable crank up here, which lets you raise and lower the top wheel here so that you can adjust the tension between the two rollers. It's got a big handle right here to give you some good leverage. And it has a nice gearing ratio on these ones, so it makes it pretty easy to turn even when you're doing something that's relatively hard to roll through. So it's a great rolling mill. I really am pleased with it. So let's start with some tin foil. Okay, so I have a little piece of 18 gauge strip of silver sheet that I'm going to use for a little band with the texture. I pre-cut it to, I think it was a 7.5 or an 8. And I cut a little strip of this copper here. So let's cut this so it's a little bit, just a little bit bigger than this. I have some tin foil here. Let's crumple that up. A nice rough texture there, kind of. Hope I made this long enough. And then like I said, I have a little masking tape here. This will be my protective backing for that. Okay, so let's open it this way to open it up. I want to open it wide enough to fit it in there and get it all the way past the point where the two wheels meet. And we'll tighten it down a little bit until we start to feel some pressure. That's pretty tight right there now. And then I'm going to give it another quarter turn or so. And then I'm going to start rolling it through. I want to make sure to get that front end where I was not quite rolled through, so we'll see how it turns out. It gave us kind of a cool little thing. It does look kind of like leather, so I think it curved a little bit because I didn't have this quite centered on top of the piece, and so it caused it to be a little bit thicker on one side, and it forced it, but I can tap that into a straight line pretty quick here. All right, so I think that's kind of fun. Make that into a ring. The second thing I was going to do was this little circular chain that I glued to that. So let's cut. You could also make a pattern or a letter or out of a piece of chain, I suppose. Oops. Didn't stick very well to the... I thought about doing some lace and stuff like that, but pretty much everybody does those kinds of things, so I thought I'd try something different. It looks like the top of a salt and pepper shaker. I don't know. Let's see what the brass side looks like. Brass side's a little bit harder than the copper, so that's interesting. I don't know if I'd use that for anything or not, but it was worth a good experiment. All right. Let's do a coin next. This isn't perfect, but I did clean up the surface of this. It's a little bit scratched up. It's still got a few scratches, but I think that'll work okay. I'm going to do the Mexican coin with a cool design in the middle. And I've cut this a little smaller than the coin because I don't really care about the letters. I'd cut those off anyway, probably. One thing about doing coins, it's going to have the words backwards. So everything's going to be a little bit backwards. So let's do it that way. I'm going to try and get a really good impression on this one. We'll see. All right. You can see the impression in the copper on the backside. That worked pretty well. I like that. So I could make a little pendant out of that, or I could mount it on a ring or something like that. Just have to cut off a nice circle around the design. That's pretty cool. I think I'll probably use that for something. So, looks like the coin survived okay. All right, I'm pleased with that. There's the reverse into the copper. That's a pretty clean reverse too. Interesting. Okay, let's try something else. Okay, so on this one, I put a layer of brass here, and then I put some rubber cement on it, and then I cut the bristles off of one of those brushes and just kind of randomly scattered it over there. And then I laid that strip of silver over here and taped it all together. So let's give that a shot and see what that turns out like. That actually produced a pretty good pattern. I like that. It slipped off of the brass a little bit there, but that's fine. Like I said, I can straighten that out okay. This is that watch band, and I kind of ran that piece of silver right along the little corrugated parts there. We'll see how that turns out. Well, I would have to say that one did not work out very well at all. I'll have to try something else. This stuff just kind of disintegrated, so that maybe this material was just not strong enough to handle that. Interesting. All right, we'll try something else. Okay, for this one, I had this as a backup because I wasn't sure some of these were going to work and some of them didn't work very well. But I think these little washers might make some kind of, I lined them up along that sheet of brass and got this all kind of stuck together. Let's see if that does anything cool. Well, that's kind of cool. I like that one. Should have done that one in the first place. That's fun. All right. So I think the possibilities are pretty unlimited. Lots of different things are, around your house probably have some textures on them that could be used to make some interesting patterns on wire or on sheet. And these are just a few of them. So I'll probably revisit this when I think of some other stuff to run through there, but I'm going to make some bands out of those three that turned out okay, and we'll see how they look. Okay, I thought I would take a moment to kind of summarize the results of our experiments today. So the one that I'd heard good things about with the tinfoil, I was unimpressed with. The texture didn't come out that great. So either I had some operator error and I didn't do it correctly, or it just doesn't produce a very intense texture, at least in the smallest scale format that I have right here. So the ball chain did kind of a spiral little indents of circles, and I could think of some interesting ways to use that as maybe some earrings or something like that, or overlay that on top of another texture maybe even to get kind of a unique look. So that might have some potential. The coins were fun. Like I said, I did the earlier one with the copper on the German coin, and then the Mexican coin with the eagle with a snake in his mouth. I oxidized it in order to bring out some of the detail, so I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's kind of cool. And I could probably make a second one of those and make them earrings or make a little pendant out of it or something like that. So if you had a really sharply defined coin that was like a brand new coin, you might have a better impression than I got, because the one I was using was relatively worn from just use over time, and so the impression it left was a little bit smoothed out from wear and tear. So this one actually was pretty good. I think I didn't use quite enough pressure on it, so I didn't get a perfect impression, but the detail on this one is really quite good as far as what the original coin looked like. And so I think that one worked pretty well. And maybe it's the difference in materials, I'm not sure. Silver being a little bit harder than copper. Copper maybe will more easily take a real detailed picture. I'm not sure about that. If you know the answer to that, answer me in the comments. Let me know what you think about that. The one I didn't hold out much hope for, with the brush bristles randomly placed, produced actually a very nice pattern, I thought. Very random and sort of fur-like. So I liked that one, and I think I would use that one again. So for that one surprised me. So I liked it. The watch band surprised me by the by being easily destroyed when I put pressure on it. So it seemed like a really durable material. I ran it right down the middle with where there were slots for I guess the watch band attachments, the size variation things. But that piece of metal just destroyed that center thing. It didn't leave much of an impression at all. Maybe I should have tried it on the edge here and just tried to get the texture of it, but I have a feeling that might have done the same thing. So maybe this is an old watch band and it's just deteriorated, or maybe that material just isn't durable enough to do that with it. I'm not sure. But the replacement one, where I did some washers, I really like how that one came out. It looks very, I don't know, Bauhaus or something. You know, clean circular lines. I like that one. I would do that one again in a second. So, but again, there's just about unlimited ideas you could do with this. Just go through your hardware drawer, and you know, I found a bunch of washers. There might be some other cool things. I found I had some of these little washer gasket kind of things. I'm not sure what those are called, but I thought that might make a cool impression as well. So next time I do a coin, though, I still kind of want to do this one where it has that cool little swirly pattern around the center. I think that might make maybe cool, like chain links or something. If you did a bunch of those, cut them into little circles, or even with it's got a little heart on either side of it. You could leave those on there and make those the way like the links in a bracelet chain or something. That might be kind of fun. So the one that jumped to mind when I was thinking about it was I used to have these pennies from the Bahamas, and they had these adorable starfish on them, and I had a couple of pairs of those, and I made earrings out of them, and I've never gotten any more of those coins. So those would make a really cool impression, I think, and you could add those to your designs as well. So, but either way, it was a fun experiment. I will probably revisit this at some point with some different things once I think up some other things to do. And you know, I'm pleased with my rolling mill. It did a really good job as far as pressing patterns in. Any kind of failures, I think, were probably error on my part. So I'll read up on the tinfoil one. Maybe I did something wrong on that one, but we'll find out. So, all right. I'll probably be a few pictures at the end just to show off what we did. See you next time. All right, well, that was some cool textures on my pepetools new rolling mill. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you got some good ideas from it. And if you're interested in getting that rolling mill, there's a link in the video description that'll take you right to the page where you can purchase one of those. So make sure to do that. You deserve one of these. They're beautiful, and they work really well. So thanks for watching the video. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button before you leave, that really helps me a lot. And feel free to leave a comment. I love to have your input on things. Don't forget to visit the video description. There's multiple links down there. Like I said, there's the pepetools link. There's some other ways to support the channel there as well if you're interested. There's a link to my Patreon stuff. You can find out about that community over there and how to get involved. There's a link to my merch store if you want to get yourself one of those nice design idea books that I have, or a funny mug or whatever. And there's also a link to the Buy Me a Coffee site where you can contribute if you want to give me a little contribution. So thank you for that in advance. All right, well, thanks for watching the video. Take care. Happy silversmithing.